Well, good morning and welcome to Wisdom to Wealth. Thank you for tuning in. I am Whitney Hammond of Sovereign Wealth Management, and with me today is Theresa Pellizzari, Financial Security Advisor at Sovereign Wealth Management. We are here today to talk to you about taking control of your money so that your money doesn't take control of you. Whether you are just getting started in your investment life, looking to manage your money yourself, or work closely with a financial advisor, Wisdom to Wealth discussions will provide a roadmap to the life you want and deserve. Good morning, Theresa. Welcome.
Good morning, Whitney. Great to be here.
Oh, 1 second. Yeah, sorry, I forgot on the live, I've got to be paying attention here. So yeah, so it's really good to be here. Today we're talking about the silver lining of 2020. And as you mentioned, you're sick and tired of hearing about negative stuff. And I hear you on that because, I used to listen to the radio, the Sirius, the XM radio all the time in my car, bopping to music. And the last year, I'm not even listening to it because I'm listening to the radio all the time. And it's just a little bit too much. So anyhow, I've got a couple of questions for you today. And so talking about adversity, we often talk about adversity in our lives and how it can lead to opportunities. Theresa, can you share with us how 2020 has given you a chance for growth?
Absolutely, Whitney. And we all know 2020 and COVID had undeniable consequences on people's lives, the economy, on, sickness, death, and unemployment rates. So I certainly don't want to ignore that fact, but many times we can decide how to handle that. And do we let it keep us down, or do we look for the silver lining? So just wanted to share a couple theories. Most of it has nothing to do with finance, although there's been a very positive impact on many people's finances over this last year. Yeah. So the one, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of this before, but about the two frogs. One's in boiling hot water and one's in lukewarm water. And which one do you think dies first? And many people think it's the one in the boiling hot water. No, they jump out.
Yeah.
They jump out and they find new ways to get by, where the other one sits in the lukewarm water and dies of a slow death. And people made those choices last year. And, I know when Whitney first said, hey, let's get out there, let's stay connected. It's like, oh my God, I better be the frog jumping out of the hot water to join her. So that's one. And often we need disruption to speed up and create solutions. So again, it's not a bad thing. Don't sit back and die of a slow death, because if you had a business last year and you just sat back and went, okay, well, roll up the carpets, let's just carry on, or let's just wait for this to pass. Life is passing you by and the opportunities go with it. So last year there was a compression of change worldwide. And businesses that were innovative found ways to grow during the adversity of 2020. So one of the largest changes was in healthcare. If you think about in the past, you're laying in bed feeling like, oh my God, I'm sweaty, I have the flu, I'm going to die if I have to move. And you have to go to the doctors before the doctor can prescribe you anything. So, that's a good idea. Let's go sit in a waiting room and spread our germs that much further. And if you walked in a year and a half ago without a mask on, everyone would be like, whoa, stay away from that person. Yeah. So now you can make a phone call, you can talk to a doctor and get a prescription and not spread all your germs. Pretty cool concept, right? So we just simplified everything. And the other is remote monitoring of patient devices. So whether it's diabetes, chronic conditions, heart disease, whatever, there's now like new monitoring equipment that will allow the doctors to stay in tune with the patients. And that goes hand in hand with, the virtual post-hospital care, where again, We're not taking people that aren't well and saying, oh, let's drag them in 6 floors up to the doctor's office, so to speak. So, at the end of the day, never waste a good crisis. And
Yeah.
I know that in my past life growing up, say 20 to 30, 40 years old, I'd be going through something really tough and trying to remind myself, you know what, when you get to the other side, you're going to be happy that this actually happened. So,
Yeah.
in many cases, I heard this last week where they're saying we're experiencing 2030 in 2020.
Really?
So, if we had to slow everything down for the first time in the world, in history, and get the whole world to align and be united to create change at the same time, I have to believe this is what's happening.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
it's so interesting. The one thing that I wanted to share about the adversity that we just keep hearing about all the time, something that is positive that I've been watching on social media, because really in our age group, we're not the social media junkies, but we're able to, us and others are able to really reach out much further than where we were able to before. So we're able to serve so many more people. So that's such a great thing. So we're connected in kind of in a disconnected way, but we're actually connected more. I've made more friends in the last year than I've probably made in my entire life. And I've made a lot of friends over the decades for sure.
Yeah.
But in the last year, particularly, I made a lot of female friends, and I'm really excited about that. So yes, there is a silver lining. And then second question is, we tend to focus on the misfortune of COVID. So Theresa, can you share some positive outcomes of COVID?
Absolutely. And I'll start with what you just mentioned about social media and being connected. One of my theories for probably 3 decades is none of us are as smart as all of us. So this community that you've pulled together, Whitney, there's an amazing amount of talents and skills and theories that get shared faster than I could ever go out walking my dog and meeting friends and learning the things that I've learned and leveraging the different skills. So thank you for your part in this. And the timing couldn't have been any better. I mean, think about it. You formed this group, I would say 8 to 10 months prior to COVID. So it worked perfectly to help us keep each other up. So the 5 areas that I wanted to talk about starts with the environment. Since this has happened, the carbon emissions are down globally. And with manufacturing and air travel, grinding to a halt, the planet has had a chance to rejuvenate. And where do you ever, like, if you think of wars years ago, yeah, well, you know what, that war's over there, this is happening over here, and globally we're disconnected. But I don't know of any other time in history where we're not. We're all in this together. So people are learning to create more happiness in their homes because, we're not in the environment. So, that's having time to rejuvenate. And we're rejuvenating our homes in many cases, getting more organized, doing some renovations, landscaping, streaming events is way cheaper than participating in it some. And although the connection's not quite the same, it's still a possibility. So, and I believe the only part of finance that I'll talk about is that I can tell you the majority of my clients are paying more attention to what they have or don't have. And I had a lot of referrals last year because people are now paying more attention. And why would you go to work and work so hard and then not pay attention to what happens with the money after that? I know I did that for years.
Absolutely.
I knew that would
Absolutely.
hit home with you because you've always paid attention. So the second is peace. The virus is raising hopes of fewer battles and less conflict, resulting in increased levels of peace. So the United Nations called to the end of war in the face of COVID. And The world confronts a common enemy. It's time to put armed conflict into lockdown. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, really, we're going to win a war by physically fighting each other. If that can be put behind us because they have, called an end to it, that's pretty cool. I mean, we tell kids in the playground, don't fight to solve your battles, communicate, talk, be constructive. So that's the second one. Third is being connected, which, we've talked about with an outcome of rejuvenated sense of community and social cohesion.
Yeah.
And that's this group to a T. It has brought so many people together. And we saw, Italy was one of the worst hit countries, and people were joining each other with their instruments and their voices, creating music out on their balconies.
Yeah.
Right? Like that. How fun is that? And it's free. So
my daughter does that in Paris. They're all out their windows, and yeah, it's pretty cool. And they actually, Paris is ahead of us. So I always know my daughter tells me when she goes into lockdown. So she's in her third lockdown. They went in, I believe, about 10 days ago. So
right.
Yeah. So and you know what? I hate to say this, but I'm really getting confused now as to what lockdown is anymore. I don't even know.
Me too. Just practice the things that we've been practicing and we'll be fine, because we've been very responsible. The next one is innovation. Due to the lockdown, many businesses had to reinvent themselves with the new philosophy, business as unusual.
Yeah.
And you and I did that, Whitney, and it's just, it's look at our business model. How can we change it? And in some ways, we may never go back. Yeah. Meeting with clients at the end of their busy day at 7 o'clock in the evening, when they just want to put their pajamas on or their track dance and relax, go ahead and do that. We can talk and still be together. So, and the last one is gratitude. It's such a gift that COVID gave us to give us a sense of appreciation and gratefulness. It has offered us a new perspective on everything that we've ever taken for granted for so long. And again, not sure how we would have ever slowed everything down, because technology, 30, 40 years ago, just started speeding things up. And we lost being connected, and we lost taking the time to really feel grateful for things. So hopefully when the crisis is over, we'll have realized that we didn't waste a good crisis, and that we learned from and made many changes for the future.
Yeah. Personal growth for me has been huge over the last year. And there was one other thing I wanted to say. Oh, it just went out of my head, but yeah. Oh, I know. Tony Robbins, he talks about winter. Oh, sorry. So Tony Robbins and Keith Cunningham, they both talk about winter. So I've kind of been brainwashed because I did a lot of study with those guys around winter and what winter is. They have the 4 seasons in your business. And winter is when something disastrous happens. And everybody's business is different, but whatever tsunami can hit you. And that's the one thing about business, is that we can't just roll along and expect that it's always going to be the same, because it's not. Winter will hit. And when winter hits, that's when we have to go into, figuring out what do we do next. So you're always like stick handling in your business, being ready for, yes, got to handle all of this, but what if this happens? And so that's what's happened to us in the last year. And so some businesses have absolutely, and obviously we see them, have utterly thrived. It's pushed the stock market like crazy. Baby boomers, interestingly enough, baby boomers, I'm one of them, ton of cash, houses paid off. And now all of a sudden they can move, they can move. And the world now has become so much smaller that, they don't have to live so close. They don't need to live in the GTA, or they don't need to live so close to Toronto. So they can sell and take that money, and they don't care if they pay an extra $400,000 for a house, because they're already there with the money. So we've seen real estate skyrocket, and then those who are serving, there's obviously businesses that are struggling quite a bit, and those are ones that are serving one to one. So, and there's that pivot, to be able to try to serve in a different way. I mean, for you and I in our business historically, it has been at someone's kitchen table, or at our desk in our office, and it was always face to face. I mean, I didn't want to do business over the phone, and I was already connected on Zoom, but did not want to do business on Zoom. And all of a sudden it's like, this is the way we're doing business. Okay, fine. It works really well. And like you, I onboarded, it was the busiest year ever in the last 12 months. So especially with onboarding new clients, and it's not just me. I mean, I spoke to my accountant visited me yesterday. So nice to see him. And I mean, he's the same way. He's like, I've just never been so busy. So for as bad as what we keep hearing, what we don't hear about is how people and businesses are flourishing. So jump into that circle, hang around with that group of people, because they're innovative. Like I have a saying at my cottage, I don't want to invite anybody to my cottage unless they're a business owner. Why? Because it's the best time to just kick back, slow down, and talk ideas with your awesome business owner buddies, because that's what we're about. Entrepreneurs, we've got ideas per second, and sharing them with each other is such a fabulous experience. And it's all about survival, that we pass those information, ideas back and forth. So it's not all bad. There's a lot of good. So it's been great for me, but I'm not going to discount the fact that it's been very difficult for other people and for health. So I'm thinking in the next 2 months, we're going to grow out of this. So I need to be very careful. We need to be very vigilant in the last part. And I mean, just before we close off, I mean, that big tanker getting stuck in the canal. Like, I mean, insult to injury. Like, how did that ever happen? And the backup of all the ships that and the billions of dollars that are locked up in trade. And again, this is winter. This is what happens. And so we're always, as a business owner, planning what's next. And so it's not just about business owners, because I know we have a lot of people watching that aren't business owners, but it's the same thing in our own personal life. What's next, right? What can happen next? And how prepared am I for things that will pop up? And it's not about living in fear and stress of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen. It's more about, anticipation of the experiences that we have in our life, and the challenges, how we grow through challenges. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, remember trying to learn how to read in grade 1, it was challenging. And then all of a sudden, you can read, and what a gift after that. So, Theresa, good topic today. That was a great topic, and we've gone over time. So
that never happens.
Yeah. Okay. Well, keep slugging it, and I'll keep slugging it too. And we wish everybody a very happy Easter weekend, and a very safe Easter weekend, because what we see after these family get-togethers, then we get a whole bunch of COVID cases. So I wish everybody the best and safe weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.